Have you ever noticed how some people seem to have endless time? They go to the gym, run businesses, spend time with their family, somehow travel twice a year, and still look completely unbothered while you're drowning in unread emails and half-finished to-do lists. You look at them and think, they must have help, they must have assistance, or some secret productivity hack. But here's the uncomfortable truth. They just value time differently than you do. For most people, time feels like something that happens to them. For wealthy people, it's something they control. And that one difference changes everything about how they live, work, and build wealth. My name is Michael, and I help people understand money and time the way school never did. Because honestly, school taught you how to fill hours, not how to own them. Today, we're breaking down the biggest difference between how rich people treat time and how the rest of us waste it without even realizing. Time is money, but not how you think. Everyone's heard the phrase, time is money. You've probably even said it yourself, but most people completely misunderstand what it means. See, when regular people say time is money, they mean they get paid for their time. They trade 1 hour for 1 wage. If they work 8 hours, they make 8 hours of money. But when rich people say time is money, they mean the opposite. Their goal is to make money without trading time at all. They see time as the most limited resource they have, the one thing they can never get back. So they spend money to buy back time. That's the entire game. Look at your week. How much of it is filled with things you could pay someone else to do? Cleaning, errands, mowing the lawn, grocery runs, minor tasks that eat up hours of your life but don't actually move you forward financially. The wealthy outsource those things immediately, even before they're technically rich, because they understand that the only real way to get rich is to stop selling your time to everyone else. Poor people spend time to save money. Rich people spend money to save time. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Most people pride themselves on being smart with money. They drive across town to save $5 on gas. They spend an hour searching for coupon codes before checking out online. They'll waste half their Saturday doing something manually that an app could do automatically, and then they call it being frugal. But it's not frugality, it's fear disguised as responsibility. Rich people think in the opposite direction. They'll spend $50 to save an hour without hesitation because they understand the math of opportunity cost. If your time is worth $50 an hour and you spend 2 hours doing something that could have been automated or outsourced for $10, you didn't save money, you lost $90. That's the mental flip most people never make. The wealthy are constantly looking for ways to remove themselves from low-value tasks so they can focus on high-value ones, the things that generate disproportionate returns. The hourly mindset trap. If you've ever said, I make $25 an hour, congratulations, you've just defined your ceiling. You've put a hard cap on the value of your time. That's fine when you're starting out, but it's a dangerous mindset to stay in because it ties your income to the clock. You can't scale hours. There will only ever be 24 in a day. The wealthy operate on outcome-based thinking instead. They stop asking, how long will this take me? And start asking, what result will this produce? It's a small shift that completely changes how they approach work. A freelancer might think, this project will take me 3 hours, so I'll charge $90. A business owner thinks, this project adds $1,000 of value to the client, so I'll charge $500. Same task, different valuation. One person is trapped in time, the other has escaped it. Time multipliers, the secret weapon. Here's where it gets interesting. Wealthy people use what I call time multipliers. These are decisions, systems, or assets that continue to produce value long after the time to create them has passed. Think of it like compound interest, but for your hours. You spend 1 block of time creating something, a product, a video, a course, a system, and it keeps generating results forever. Most people never get this far because they're stuck in what I call the maintenance loop. Every hour they work just resets the timer until they have to work again. It's the financial equivalent of a treadmill. You never move forward, you just get more tired. Time multipliers break that loop. They turn your effort today into leverage tomorrow. That's why wealthy people are obsessed with building systems, not because they love automation for its own sake, but because it literally multiplies their available time. 5. The psychology of urgency. Most people spend their days reacting. Emails, notifications, texts, meetings, requests. Their schedules look full, but almost none of it moves their lives forward. It's all busy work disguised as productivity. Rich people operate on delayed urgency. They choose what matters, then ignore everything else until it's done. Their calendars look strangely empty because they build intentional space for thinking. That space is where leverage comes from. It's where strategy happens. The average person fills every free moment with distraction, TikTok, news, group chats, whatever, because empty time feels uncomfortable. But the wealthy know that empty time is valuable time. It's when ideas appear, connections form, and clarity shows up. You can't buy clarity on Amazon. You have to earn it by not being busy all the time. Time is a filter for decisions. Here's something nobody talks about. When rich people make decisions, they don't ask, what's cheaper? They ask, what gives me more time? Every choice runs through that filter. Will this create more free time or take more away? Buying a bigger house means more cleaning and maintenance. That's lost time. Taking a higher paying job that doubles your commute? Lost time. Saying yes to every meeting, every favor, every invitation? Lost time. Most people assume rich people say no because they're arrogant. They're not. They're protecting the one resource they can't manufacture. Every yes to something meaningless is a no to something valuable. Time with family, creative thinking, personal health, rest. The wealthy say no constantly so they can say yes to the few things that actually multiply their time later. 7. The illusion of productivity. Here's the part nobody likes hearing. You're probably addicted to being busy. It feels good. Checking things off a list gives you a quick hit of dopamine, like you're actually accomplishing something. But here's the thing, being busy isn't the same as being productive. Rich people don't measure their day by how many tasks they complete. They measure it by how much leverage they created. Did they make a decision that will save them 10 hours later? Did they delegate something permanently? Did they invest in a system or relationship that compounds? If yes, it was a productive day, even if they only work for 3 hours. Most people can't handle that because it challenges their sense of self-worth. They've tied their identity to how hard they work, not how smartly they work. So they keep grinding harder, not realizing that grinding harder on the wrong things doesn't move you forward. It just digs the hole deeper. Buying time is the first luxury the rich ever purchase. Before the watches, before the cars, before the penthouses, the first thing every rich person buys is time. Not metaphorically, literally. They pay people to handle the parts of life that drain time and energy. When they start making money, they don't buy stuff. They buy hours. A personal assistant, meal delivery, cleaners, bookkeeping. Every hire is a time-buying decision. They don't do this because they're lazy. They do it because they understand return on time better than anyone else. If outsourcing costs $20 an hour and their time is worth $100, it's not an expense. It's an investment with an $80 profit margin. The middle class sees help as a luxury. The rich see it as leverage. 9. The compounding effect of freed time. Stay with me, because this part is where everything connects. When you free up an hour, what you do with it determines whether it was leverage or waste. Poor people fill freed time with entertainment. Middle-class people fill it with errands. Wealthy people fill it with creation. They use that hour to build something that will give them 10 hours back later. A new system, a business, an investment strategy, a better hire. That's the secret most self-help books miss. Time freedom without direction is just expensive boredom. The goal isn't to have endless free time. The goal is to have control, to choose how you use your time instead of reacting to everything around you. That's what separates people who are rich in money, but miserable from people who are rich in both time and peace. Rich people measure time in decades. Everyone else measures in days. This one hurts a little. Most people can barely think past Friday. Their goals, their budgets, even their patience all stop at the weekend. Rich people think in decades. They're playing the long game, where the first few years are all about planting seeds. They're willing to spend 5 years building something that pays them for the next 20. Meanwhile, the average person quits after 3 months because it's not working yet. That's like planting a tree, staring at the dirt for a week, and deciding gardening doesn't work. The wealthy understand delayed gratification not as sacrifice, but as strategy. They see time as an ally. Everyone else treats it like an enemy. Here's the irony. When you start thinking long-term, time actually speeds up for you. Opportunities compound, results overlap. You start to feel like you have more hours because you've stopped wasting them chasing instant payoffs. The real cost of wasted time. Let's put some numbers on this because money makes things real. Say you waste just 1 hour a day on meaningless stuff, scrolling, procrastinating, arguing online, whatever. That's 7 hours a week, roughly 360 hours a year. That's 9 full 40-hour work weeks gone. If your time is worth $25 an hour, that's $9,000 a year of wasted potential. Over 10 years, that's $90,000. If you had invested that instead, it could easily have become $150,000 or more. That's one house deposit. That's early retirement money. The problem is that wasted time doesn't send you a bill. It just quietly compounds in reverse until you wake up one day wondering why you're still stuck. Rich people track time the way most people track money because they know lost time is the most expensive thing in the world. The paradox of rest. Here's the part that surprises people. Wealthy people rest more, not less. But it's not lazy rest, it's strategic rest. They understand that time spent resting isn't wasted. It's maintenance for the machine that produces results. Poor people see rest as recovery from exhaustion. Rich people see it as preparation for impact. They schedule downtime the same way they schedule meetings because they know burnout destroys decision-making, creativity, and patience, the very things that make them money. So when you see someone successful, spending a day golfing or walking on the beach, don't assume they're slacking. They're recharging so they can make sharper moves later. You can't think long-term when your brain is fried from constant hustle. The difference between spending time and investing it. Here's where everything comes together. Every hour you have can either be spent or invested. Spent time disappears the moment it's gone. Invested time pays you back later, sometimes with money, sometimes with experience, sometimes with peace. Scrolling social media? Spent. Learning a skill that increases your earning potential? Invested. Complaining about your job? Spent. Building something that could replace it? Invested. Rich people constantly ask themselves, is this hour an expense or an investment? That question alone could change your entire financial trajectory if you started asking it daily. Because once you realize how valuable an hour really is, you stop giving them away so cheaply. The legacy loop. Here's the part nobody thinks about until it's too late. Wealthy people don't just buy their own time, they buy time for their future generations. They set up systems, businesses, and investments that keep producing after they're gone. It's not about greed, it's about continuity. They understand that real wealth isn't measured in money. It's measured in how many generations you can free from the need to trade time for survival. That's the ultimate flex, when your great-grandchildren get to choose what to do with their hours because you learned how to multiply yours. Meanwhile, most people can barely think past their next paycheck, and that's exactly how the system wants it. Because people who are always out of time are always controllable. Your time is already valuable, you just don't treat it that way. Here's the uncomfortable part. You don't need to be rich for your time to matter. It already does. But you treat it like it's cheap because you can't see the invoice. Every "I'll just do it later" comes with compound interest, in stress, in missed opportunities, in regret. The truth is, everyone values time once it's gone. You'll never hear someone on their deathbed say, "I wish I'd watched more Netflix." They always talk about wishing they had more time. The rich just figured out how to start acting like that now instead of waiting until the end. So what does all this mean for you? It means the difference between wealth and struggle isn't just about money, it's about time. Poor people sell it, the middle class spend it, the rich invest it. That's the entire game. Start treating your hours the same way you treat your dollars. Track them, protect them, spend them intentionally. Stop wasting them on things that don't matter just because everyone else does. You don't need to be rich to think like the rich. You just need to start asking the right questions. Does this save me time or cost me time? Is this hour an investment or an expense? Is this helping future me or just entertaining present me? Look, the goal isn't to have more money so you can buy more stuff. The goal is to have more time to live a life that actually feels like yours. Because once you control your time, everything else falls into place. You don't need to look rich. You need to stop being stressed.